Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets, where we're always trying to bring to you, the audience, new, exciting stories. Now, one of the mega trends out there that we all know about is gold, the yellow metal, crossing through 1,800 US dollars an ounce and looking even stronger. Gold exploration, therefore, is definitely on the move. We're not sure about a lot of things in this world, but gold has always been an incredible storage of value. Hence the interest in the yellow metal. And the most upside, generally speaking, is in exploratory projects. And at the same time, we want to de-risk these projects as much as possible. And one of the best ways is with rule of law. And with us to discuss Western Australian gold exploration and his particular projects, Lorry Hughes of Yandal Resources. Lorry, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Great to be here, Greg. Thanks very much.
Lorry, everybody's got a story to tell and everybody wants to hear stories. How did you get from being in year 8 of junior high school to where you are today?
Well, I'm from Fremantle originally, and I still live in the region. Western Australian geologist, studied in Western Australia. Cut my teeth in the Western Australian gold market because back in the early 1990s, gold was hot back then. There was a lot of discoveries being made in the gold fields. Straight out of university into working on exploration projects, mining projects in Western Australia. A good 10, 12 years of doing that before I branched out and started looking at a few other commodities, such as uranium, potash. Had some great success in some of those commodities. But the last 5 years I've returned back to gold. And the timing's been fantastic, and we've got a great portfolio of gold projects within our company.
Yeah, that's amazing that you really have, I suppose, by living and growing up in the area, your cadre of people that you must know in the industry must be, truly incredible. And I'll touch on it maybe, as far as relating to COVID, about getting people on site and so forth, but your access to people, human capital is always paramount. And it sounds like you're certainly well plugged in. Exploration obviously is always, one of the most exciting parts of any business. Can you tell us a little bit more about your projects and what do you see going on right now? Because I think that people would love to hear them.
Yeah, sure. So, in fact, we've got a number of prospects which, as our new drilling programs get completed and we assess the results, they move up and down the ranking of importance for us. But right now, I've just returned from a fantastic 2 weeks out at Kalgoorlie on our Gordon's Gold project. Now, this is becoming very important for the company. We have intersected some high-grade gold at depth in previous drill programs earlier this year. And now we're looking to branch out and spread, test along strike, look for shallow opportunities, look for more deeper targets. And we've just completed another 5,000 metres of drilling, waiting on those results at Gordon's. Can't stress enough why I wanted to go out there, because it certainly can be a game changer. We all love a discovery that has the most impact on share prices, particularly in the junior space. And I think we've got a very high chance of returning something for shareholders here. We've seen some great things coming out of the drill bit. I wanted to go there myself, so I was turning back the clock in nearly 15 years, sitting on the rig, getting up early in the morning, freezing cold by West Australian standards. It was ice on the windshield in the morning there, but I'll be heading back. In fact, heading back in a couple of weeks' time to follow up. We want to have a board meeting out there very soon because we think the Gordon's prospect, only 45 minutes drive out of Kalgoorlie, a real game changer for the company, or emerging game changer. I don't want to get it up for the horse, but every time we go there, and every time we've drilled there since we listed the company nearly 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, we've had great encouragement to go back, really. So that's why, in fact, we raised money to expand the current programs.
Yeah, and what is it? Can you explain to our audience, maybe at a high level, because not everybody is a geologist, what makes that project interesting from what you've seen so far?
Okay. So where it's located, the Gordon's Dam Gold Project prospect, it's only about 14 kilometres from Yandal, which is one of the region's largest deposits, has been operating for over 30 years. And it's also about 10 kilometres to the east of Paddington operation, has also been going for about 30 years. So this is the backyard of Kalgoorlie. There's very large deposits can be found. So we're surrounded by excellent infrastructure,
I was going to ask you that.
mineral processing, and we've got some great rocks. So at the moment, it's early days, but I do believe that we could be onto something which has similar geology to the Canal Bell discovery. That's typically is hosted in porphyry rocks and sediments. We have both those rocks intersected with gold currently in our prospect. So that's generally the target. But underlying that, there are major shear zones which have transported the gold into these settings, being part of the structural controls on the mineralisation. But we're chasing all those. We've got them. And now I must say, in terms of deep drilling, we've only got about 6 holes going beneath 100 metres critical depth at this stage. So the next program, we're already planning it. There's probably going to be another 5,000 metres of RC drilling where we'll look to test bedrock targets generated by the shallower air core drilling.
Right. Okay. So now we have an understanding. So this area has been very prolific. So far, it's been the shallow type of drilling. So there's still a lot more exploration work that needs to be done here. And then finally, can I ask you, because we're in the Kalgoorlie region of WA, infrastructure, generally speaking, is not a problem. From your point of view, does that make it easier to do exploration work, knowing that ultimately a project would be de-risked if it got into final production?
Oh, that's right. Well, it's not like we're in a very remote area. So if you're in a very remote area, you really have to focus on very large deposits, standalone operations. But where we are, almost doesn't matter what size deposit we find, we could have a commercial outcome for shareholders. So already, if the viewers are able to access one of our presentations and our current releases, you'll see that we have been working on 2 types of mineralisation at the Gordon's Dam project. One is a shallow paleo channel hosted mineralisation, and we've tracked the paleo channel for about 400 metres of strike. The mineralisation starts at about 30 metres vertical depth, very high grades in there, and we've been looking at working on our maiden resource for a very shallow paleo channel. But now we've also been tracking mineralisation at depth beneath that paleo channel and along strike. So what our current plan is to, as well as explore and look for the multi-million ounce deposit at depth, is like what commercial outcome can we make with that paleo channel? Well, we might be talking about 10 or 15,000 ounces of very close to surface mineralisation, which we could actually commence mining on that as a box cut, perhaps. Look to generate revenue to relieve the burden of going back to market. And so there's a number of options, a number of mills in the area, and all roads that we can utilise to get ore treated local operation. Yeah,
no, that sounds fantastic. And then, moving on from Gordon's Dam, can you just discuss, because you're effectively a multi-project portfolio, if you will, just some of your other projects that you have on the move and where they stand?
That's right. The Gordon's Dam's been elevated to the highest priority in terms of what the market's wanting. Everyone wants a new discovery. But since we listed, we've also been working on a Flushing Meadows gold project, and that's up north, about 70 kilometres east of Wiluna, and also within a good gold producing region, approximately 65 kilometres south of Jundee, which is Northern Star Resources' largest, or one of the largest operations before buying. It was certainly the largest operation before they bought half the super pit. but a very important operational area for them. And we also have the newly renamed Wiluna Mining Corporation, previously Blackham Resources. So they're operating about 70 kilometres to the west of us. So Flushing Meadows is a shallow, it starts at surface, so it's a shallow, predominantly oxide deposit, and we're getting that ready to be mined. We've just finished another 12,000 metres of infill and extensional RC drilling for resource, conducting very detailed QA/QC for an updated JORC resource. And that JORC resource will form the basis of our mining proposal, our maiden and pit design, as we go and discuss the approvals with all the stakeholders. These include the culture Aboriginal people, the traditional landholders of our area up there, all the typical stakeholders as you move towards your project granted and approved and mined. So this is really exciting. So stay tuned for that. We're looking to get a new resource update out current quarter. Our geologists are working on that now. Part of our news flow. We have the Gordon's Dam, which is exciting and new, a new discovery, emerging discovery. And then we have the mining project, which we're getting ready for a simple open cut mine operation, mining oxide, and looking to generate revenue.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And just, also I suppose on the back of any drilling or whatever it is, it's all about funding as well, and you've just raised capital. Can you just discuss the position on the balance sheet and how do we stand as far as cash, sources and uses, if you will?
Yes. So we've just completed a entitlement issue for shareholders, a 1 for 5. So we announced that earlier this week, that about 70% of the entitlement issue was taken up by existing shareholders, or applied for by existing shareholders. And right now we're working on placing the available shortfall, which is essentially been very well subscribed for by new and existing shareholders. So I'm very confident we'll get that money, and that's to raise an additional 3.3 million. That tops up our bank account. Our bank account will be sitting at about 6.5 million after we pay a few drilling bills. So that's in a very strong position to continue our aggressive exploration at Gordon's, mine development activity at Flushing Meadows, plus additional drilling around Flushing Meadows, and some of our other projects, including Mount McClure. So Mount McClure is another one we haven't spoken about. It's a small project which has a history of mining. There's 3 open cut mines that were processed or were mined and processed at one of Northern Star's mills, the Bronzewing milling facility, which is currently on care and maintenance. Now we're looking to go back in there and commence working on confirming historic resources that lie directly underneath oxide pit. So some of the money we've just raised is to accelerate exploration up there. We haven't done a great deal of drilling there since we listed in the late 2018, but we're looking to get back there and fund. And we were in a great position to fund some serious programs.
Right, and that would you say it sounds like that funding would take us through, for all your projects, would take you through the rest of the calendar year?
Absolutely, yes. We're being very careful with that money, but we're getting good value from our drilling operations. We'll just have to see how it goes, because
I mean,
if we're intersecting some fantastic great numbers, there's going to be a lot more interest in the company. We can grow the value of the company, and there's a perpetual round of good results versus access to capital.
Absolutely.
So let's just stay quiet on that, because we don't know, but let's hope that, fingers crossed, we can generate some great numbers going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there's no reason to say, you have. It sounds like there's so many holes being drilled and so much activity that there's a lot of upside optionality, if you will. Lorry, in closing, I'd
Excuse me.
just like to ask about one question some people ask always is just the nature of exploration. Can you just talk about, obviously it's a high risk, high reward game. How do you view it in your mind? How do you handle, I suppose it's a life skill, if you will, about, that risk and reward, knowing that there could be downsides. How do you mentally approach that?
Well, that's a good question. I actually, a lot of people you may come across when you're running a junior company, they may think that you're quite risky. Your risk profile is quite high, or do these make these high risk decisions, put the company on the line for every decision. But really, we don't operate like that at all. We're actually very mindful of shareholders' wealth, and we've got a lot of money invested in the companies ourselves. And we take each decision is made very carefully.
Right.
So that's why we're very pleased with our current copper projects, because they all have historic gold. We know there's gold there, and this is some of the best places to be hunting for gold, is where it's already been proven. So we don't really like to be going out proving too many new concepts, looking at complete wildcat areas, because it's very risky. We'd rather focus funds into areas we're going to have a much higher chance of finding gold, and that's in close to Kalgoorlie, close to operating mines, close to large exploration projects. So we think that's the way we approach it. We'll continue to make those decisions on anything we're looking at, including acquisitions.
Yeah, no, that's great how you try to take, like, I suppose, what could be considered a risky business and de-risk it, if you will, by being close to projects or something of that nature.
That's right.
And I suppose that, along those lines, if there's something you see, that you try to commit as little capital as possible towards the highest risk, if you will. But you can de-risk it operationally as much as anything. I really appreciate that, Lorry, because as I said, that's a skill that every junior miner will come across, and in every business, and I think it's an important distinction. Lorry, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I appreciate the lessons as well as your projects, and we very much look forward to hearing these announcements over what looks like to be the next coming weeks, even.
Yes, that's right. I'm expecting some results very soon, and looking to head back out to Kalgoorlie. We've got some collaboration going on with some prospectors around Gordon's as well. So they're looking to do some work on some of our ground, help us generate some new targets around where we've been drilling. So it's very exciting time.
Thank you, Lorry. Appreciate your time. Be well.
All right. Thank you very much, Greg. Pleasure.